Desperate and without documents, a woman from Mexico moves to a pension in Cleveland, where she begins to have strange and disturbing visions. So today on Cinema Recap, I'll show you No One Gets Out Alive. The film begins with a woman who is talking on the phone, saying she does not want to continue living at the place. At that moment, she realizes that there are strange things happening around her, so she puts the phone down and walks. Then she sees an object moving by itself, and when she tries to take steps backwards, she's caught by a strange shadow. In the next scene, we see several people in a vehicle, as apparently they are immigrants who are traveling to the United States. One of these women is named Amber. When she arrives, she gets a place to stay and also a job. However, after a few days, she's told that she can no longer stay in that place without an ID. Amber goes to work where she finds out that there are rooms available in a house that is only for women. So she asks for a room there, and we see that it is the same house where the woman from the beginning of the movie used to live. A man shows her the house, which is quite large, so Amber decides to stay there. The man tells her that there's another woman staying in that place, and that in order to stay there, they must pay a month's rent in advance. Amber pays and takes the room. Then that night, when she was listening to an audio from her mother, she suddenly realizes that there is a window that connects the floor below. She looks through and realizes that the other woman who is staying there is crying. However, Amber ignores her and tries to go to sleep. Then she has some memories of her mother, who lived her last days in a hospital. The next day, she goes to work, and a friend of hers tells her that the price for an ID has gone up. Amber doesn't have money to pay for it, so her friend tells her that she can take her time to get it. She goes to a dinner with her mother's cousin, who tells her that he can introduce her to some people who can offer her a better job, but that she must have an ID. Amber goes home and asks the owner to give her back the money so she can pay for an ID, but he tells her that he already spent it. The next day, Amber goes to work and asks her boss to pay her for a week in advance, but he refuses. Amber and her friend go out for a drink, and her friend tells her that she can lend her the money she needs. So Amber decides to give her all her savings so she can buy the ID. Amber goes home, and when she arrives, she realizes that there is a man there trying to enter one of the rooms. She ignores him and goes to her room. Later, she goes down to the kitchen and meets two women who are new there. They have a short talk and then leave. At that moment, the owner arrives, and Amber tells him about the strange man she saw before. And the owner tells her that that was his brother. Then Amber goes to a secret room to see what's inside. And she comes across strange things such as dried up butterflies, a recording of a sacrifice, portraits, and books of what appears to be an ancient ritual. At that moment, a noise scares her, so she leaves the place quickly, and we see that there's a figure in the background that was watching her all along. The next day, Amber goes to work and realizes that her friend has just quit. She asks her boss to give her the address of the woman, but he ends up firing her as well. Amber tries to contact her friend, but she doesn't take the call, so Amber realizes that she got scammed. She goes home worried and takes a shower, when suddenly she hears cries for help coming from the drain. Amber turns scared to the door and sees a man. However, when she pulls the curtain aside, he disappears. Then Amber comes out of the bathroom and talks to the owner. He tells her that he's got some money that he can return from what she paid in advance, but she has to wait until tomorrow. Amber goes to her room and starts to listen to some audio from her mother. At that moment, she sees a ghost saying her name, but it was just a nightmare. Then she sees that the door to her room is open, so she approaches to close it, but at that moment, she sees a shadow outside the hall and also hears a woman wailing. Amber stands still and sees how footsteps begin to be marked on the floor as if someone were entering her room. Then she sees another ghost outside the room, which apparently is going after the ghost that had just entered. Amber sees how the two ghosts begin to fight until they leave the room. Then there's silence, and Amber decides to go downstairs. She sees a lady ghost crying at the end of the hallway and gets a little closer to see it. At that moment, a hand appears and drags the lady towards the basement. Amber runs to her room very scared and begins to collect all her things to leave. Then she calls her mother's cousin to ask for help. However, he tells her that he cannot pick her up because he's on a trip. At that moment, Amber confesses that she has lied to him and that she is not from the United States but from Mexico. Therefore, she does not have an ID and cannot call the police. The uncle seems disappointed, but still tells her that he will help her, but she needs to stay out of trouble for now. Amber goes to ask the owner for the money he owed, and he is not in his room, so she decides to leave without the money. She goes to various places, but they do not let her in because she does not have enough money. Then we see she's on a train, when suddenly she sees a box with monster hands coming out. Amber then wakes up from the nightmare and realizes she's in a cafeteria with her suitcases. At that moment, the owner appears and Amber asks him for the money. However, the owner tells her that the money is in the house. Amber, although not wanting to return to the house after what she saw, accepts this because she needs the money. They arrive at the house and the owner tells her that her money is in her room, so she goes up to get it. She looks for it everywhere, but can't find it. The owner appears and tries to invite her for a drink, but Amber only wants the money. The owner tells her that he wished she hadn't called him because he didn't want to hurt her. Amber gets scared and tries to leave, but the man stops her, saying that her brother asked him not to let her go. At that moment, the brother shows up and approaches the woman. He takes the bottle of wine and makes Amber take a big drink, and then they laugh at her. The owner tells Amber to try not to escape again or he will do worse things to her. Both brothers leave. Amber locks herself in her room, and then after a few minutes, two girls who also live there ask to enter. Amber lets them in and they tell her that they are not allowed to leave either. The women tell Amber that they also hear voices and see ghosts and dream about a monster coming out of a box. Then, at night, Amber sees several ghosts in her room staring at her. However, the ghosts disappear and another ghost shows up, which seems to be her mother's. This one says her name, and at that moment she wakes up, since it was only a nightmare. When she wakes up, she realizes that the brothers are taking the two women, so she tries to help them, but doesn't succeed and they end up locking her in the room. At that moment, someone rings the doorbell of the house, so the owner has to open it. We see that it's Amber's uncle who asks about her, but the owner tells him that she doesn't live there. Amber manages to break a window and yell at her uncle to help her. When he finds out, he pushes the owner and runs to look for her. However, when he reaches the room, he's caught by the owner's brother who beats him up and kills him. Then the brothers tie Amber and carry her upstairs with the other two women. The owner's brother takes one of these women to the basement, while the owner stays to smear Amber with a strange dust. The owner tells Amber that what they're doing is a ritual and they only need a few more women to finish it, and that everything is part of his brother's plan. He's only supporting him. Amber asks the owner to let her go and to escape together, since apparently the owner doesn't agree with what his brother is doing, but he doesn't agree to run away with her. At that moment, the brother shows up with a wound on his hand. He tells Amber that the other girl fought and scratched him, but his wound suddenly heals. Then the owner's brother carries Amber to the basement and she sees several ghosts along the way. At the basement, the brother ties her on a table and then goes to open a stone box, the same box Amber had seen in her nightmares, and leaves her alone. Amber tries to get away because she knows that nothing good will come out of that box. And at that moment, some butterflies appear, which make Amber unconscious. Amber then begins to dream that she is with her mother in the hospital and she asks to stay with her while a gigantic monster is coming out of the box. The monster approaches Amber with the intention of eating her while Amber continues to dream about her mother. At that moment, Amber tells her mother that she is not going to stay any longer, but her mother takes her by the neck and demands her to stay, and we see her dream is being manipulated by the monster. Amber then decides to kill her mother in the dream so that she lets her go, and when she wakes up she realizes that she is no longer tied to the table, and she sees that the monster has just returned to the box. Amber looks inside the box and finds a small corpse, so she decides to close it again. Then, as she's about to leave the basement, she decides to seek revenge against the brothers and takes a weapon. She goes to the room where the brothers are and attacks the owner, leaving him on the ground. Then she goes against the brother, but he manages to defend himself and take the weapon away. The brother twists Amber's ankle and fights against another girl who just escaped. Amber tries to take the weapon again, but at that moment the brother returns and fights with her. However, Amber manages to wound him in the neck with a small knife. Then Amber takes the weapon and kills the brother, but she realizes that the owner is still alive, so she decides to take him as a sacrifice to the monster in the basement. When Amber is about to leave the house, she suddenly sees that the owner has become one of the ghosts. Then she feels how her ankle heals itself and sees several butterflies appear from the basement. So she smiles. The end. If you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe to continue receiving the recaps of the best horror movies. My name is TC, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.